Hey guys, Jake motherfucking Jones back from the crypt to educate you on the 5 worst films of 2019, in my opinion. Now to start off, I think it's best to remind you that because these are bad movies, in my opinion, I may or may not end up spoiling them in the process. So if you're okay with that, you've been warned. Also, it'd probably be best to let you know on which movies will not be on the list. The first being Cats. Yeah, no. I didn't need any furry jizz on my shoulder. I mean, there was no way in Tom Brady's colon I was seeing this one. I'd rather get a beating from my father live on Twitch than see this pile of shit. It would be unfair to the other films, to the other piles of shit, to put Cats on the list because they just couldn't compete with it. So I'm just gonna leave it be because I didn't see it anyway. I also didn't see the new Aladdin or Lion King or whichever other festering Disney corpse they're gonna mutilate next. Didn't see it. I knew they were gonna be shit. I knew they made like $1 billion in China or whatever, and they made it almost that here in the States as well. So at number 5, Avengers Endgame. Yeah, I know. Go whine in the comments section. The plot of this film is literally a repeat of Infinity War, which was a terrible movie, but at least it had a pretty decent villain, Thanos. But now, fucking scrotum chin Thanos reduced to a comic sidekick. This movie has the lamest jokes. There's no timing to them. You know, if you've seen the movie Knives Out, that was a good movie because it proved that you can have a dark, caustic sense of humor in a PG-13 movie with no problem. That was smart writing. This movie literally made me it was like tranquilizer. It tranquilized me. It anesthetized me as I was sitting in the theater. I'm already depressed enough. I'm on 4 different narcotics, but this shit, I'm telling you, it did the trick on its own. The characters act like they're on antidepressants. Like, I don't know what it is about these Marvel movies. They just suck. All the humor is just dad jokes and outdated songs. And just like, oh, Thor is fat, haha. This movie sucks because it tries to have its cake and shit in it too. It also wants to be this epic 3-hour, Iron Man dies, and people go, oh, you ruined the movie. You know what? If all it takes to ruin your experience of an entire franchise is one shitty plot point, then maybe it wasn't that good. Because I'll tell you, if you spoiled the end of a Tarantino movie for me, I would still enjoy the Tarantino movie. I would still be like, okay, there is still so much of the experience that cannot be spoiled. You know what I'm saying? But these are fucking kids' movies, guys. And they're trying to act all macho with, like, the American flags draped over the coffin and the fucking slow, steady cam of the Avengers doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't even fucking remember, man. I don't remember half this shit. All I know is this giant steaming dog turd of a movie. And I really hope this is the last one, man. And the plot of it is so stupid, too. It's like there's a time machine. And instead of doing something original with it, like maybe go back and kill baby Thanos so none of this shit even starts in the first place, they're like, no, we're gonna do the same shit. We're just gonna go back and repeat the same fucking battles over and over again. And I'm supposed to be praising this? Get the fuck out of here. Fuck Avengers. This movie stinks. Number 4, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Just when you thought this saga can get any more convoluted. Say what you will about the prequels, at least they had a consistent vision and a little bit of a sense of humor about themselves where they didn't take themselves so damn seriously. Again, this is on Disney. I don't even really blame J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson, but like, oh, how about another lens flare, J.J., to blind me so maybe I don't realize what a horrible piece of shit this is. But dude, this movie is literally all characters describing what they're going to do. Over 9,000 sidekicks, all to sell merchandise, over 9,000 locations. And this movie is like ADHD. Like, you can't remember anything that just happened. They kill off characters, and they don't commit to it. In one scene, they straight up kill off Chewbacca. And before you even realize that they did it, they just slingshot him into the next scene like, ooh, gotcha! This is another case of movies that were made for kids, that adults, they just don't grow up. They're not really adults. They have a mental illness where they're just obsessed with this nostalgia shit. But I was never a part of that. So once you're disconnected from it, you can kind of look at it objectively and go, okay, what's the problem with this actual movie? Like, at least the prequels were funny, so that now we just have a mountain of memes inspired by them. Obi-Wan Kenobi memes and Anakin memes. It's like, what memes are we gonna create from this fucking boring pixie bitch Rey? Fucking Doomer Kylo, Carrie Fisher's holograph. I mean, this is fucking creepy now. She's been dead for, what, 3 years now? Come on, Disney. How much cocaine did it take to summon her back for one last mummy rap? Like, seriously, Disney, this is borderline necrophilia. Fucking stop it. Force Awakens was A New Hope, complete retread. Last Jedi tried to do something new. At least it had some balls in a couple scenes. But this one is the worst of them all, because it just fails to tie anything together. And guess who the villain is? Try and guess. It's the same fucking guy. It's the same fucking guy. How do you do that? How do you have the same villain in 3 different trilogies? I don't think that's ever happened. Has that ever happened? I mean, how lazy can you be? You have these fucking 9,000 different side characters, the aliens, these orange fucking tangerine things with buttholes for eyes. There's like 2 different Han Solos who may or may not be gay lovers. It's just so bad. I'd rather stick my dick in a wall socket. I'd rather down a fentanyl cocktail than watch another one of these shit-ass movies. I'm so done with it. I was thinking about giving it the number 3 spot to Terminator Dark Fate.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
But when it comes to the biggest disappointment of the year, I mean, you gotta give it to Rambo Last Blood. This is a lifeless, soulless affront to everything we like about John Rambo. He's supposed to be this strong, silent savage. The Rambo in Last Blood won't shut the fuck up. He's starting conversations with the local bar slut. Well, yeah, how you doing? And it's just like, oh, hi, I'm gonna help you find your daughter. Oh, isn't that fucking convenient, huh? So the plot of this movie basically is Rambo lives on a ranch in Arizona. He has this adopted daughter who's like, I want to see my real daddy, and she goes to Mexico, and they kidnap her, obviously, and then Rambo gets his revenge. But there's nothing to it. Like, everybody in this movie is a cardboard cutout, including Rambo. The action scenes are terrible. They're all shaky cam with fake CGI blood that you would expect from Birdemic. It's so low grade, so low effort. This movie should have never seen the light of day. It should be relinquishing somewhere at the bottom of a Walmart bin. Like, the acting is terrible. There's one scene where Rambo is driving around this bitch. She's ODing on heroin or some shit from her kidnappers. There's like, and she's nodding off, and Rambo's like, maybe you shouldn't fall asleep so hard. I don't know. And then he starts talking about some random shit, you know, when I was in them, fear changes a man. It's just like the most rote shit. It's like Rambo wouldn't even say this. And then he turns to his daughter, is like, oops, I guess you're dead now. Okay, I gotta go kill some guys. These Mexican villains just show up. They beat the shit out of Rambo a couple times, and then there's a couple other conversations. Mad disappointing. It's like this movie is not even there. Number 2, Serenity, starring Matthew McConaughey as Baker Dill. a fishing boat captain slash male whore. Oh, it gets crazier. I'm not going to give it all away, just a few details to make you want to see this movie, because this is the only movie on the list that I'm going to recommend, seriously, because it's so bad it's good. Every scene is the most cheesy dialogue, cheesy sex scenes. Like, the guy who wrote this just let his brain hang out the window. So Matthew McConaughey is playing himself from the Lincoln commercials, how did we wind up? And every time a side character tries to have a conversation with him, he's always just like, fuck you, and he's like pushing a wheelbarrow or some shit, and he's obsessed with finding this giant tuna. He's obsessed with finding this fish, and then there's this fucking spy, this guy in a suit straight out of a fucking spy movie with a briefcase who follows him around all the time. You're wondering, like, where is this going? And halfway through the movie, you still have no idea. And it's just one of those. It's like there's a scene where he just chugs 2 bottles of rum and then goes joyriding through a cornfield. It's just a lot of fun watching this movie, and if you enjoy bad movies, this one can easily be made into a drinking game for every lunatic thing that happens. And the worst film of 2019, MidSummer. Not only is this one of the worst movies I've ever seen, it's also one of the biggest wastes of time I could ever experience in my life. I'd rather work at a Ferris wheel. I'd rather clean out an old widow's basement. I'd rather bet my life savings on the Jets. I'd rather go hunting with Dick Cheney. I'd rather go into a black barber shop and say, do whatever you want. Every single character in this movie is dumb and unlikable. It's like, dude, people are dying around you, and you don't leave. You're just like, oh, what am I gonna get on my research paper? This movie is so terrible because it fails to establish a tone as either a horror or a comedy, and both of those genres require tension. This movie has none of that. The characters are blank, empty vessels of nothingness. This movie is so filled to the brim with nothingness that it's like watching a child having a tea party with dolls. Like, oh, I'm just supposed to imagine the story? Is that how this works? And the blatant plagiarism of this movie from The Wicker Man is evident in the symbolism. Everything from the flower children to the wooden bonfire. And this is from the director of Hereditary. As much as I hated that film, at least it had some semblance of a plot. This movie has none of that. It starts off with this boring feminist college bitch. You start off, she's in a bad relationship with her fucking cuck boyfriend. It's like, oh no, we're gonna do whatever you want, baby. And then they go on this retreat. They take drugs for no reason. People jump off cliffs for no reason. The cult members are offended for absolutely no reason. They fight over fucking credit on a research paper. I shit you not, that's the central conflict. That's the central conflict. And it's handled with all the emotional depth and maturity of a Disney Channel sitcom. There's no style to the way the movie is shot. It's all static. There's one upside down shot that I thought was pretty cool, but for the most part, the hills and the landscape do most of the scenery. 1917 had the same problem, so I'm not gonna, give credit even for that, because it's so easy. And the ending of this movie is so bad. The way it treats a male character, that if the same thing happened to a female character, everybody would be crying. This would have a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, mark my fucking words, about how misogynist and horrible this movie is. Thoroughly unpleasant, and I don't recommend this movie to anybody unless it's for torture purposes. And there's the list. Up next, the best films of 2019. This one will be a lot more enjoyable for me. I hope you enjoyed this. Stay tuned.